Jacob flees Laban, chapter 31 of Genesis. This is in the long version, the video section. I'm taking the Bible from the beginning to the end, a chapter at a time. Common as I go, NIV. Jacob flees Laban, chapter 31 of Genesis. Jacob heard that Laban's sons were saying, Jacob has taken everything our father owned and has gained all this wealth from what belongs to our father. And Jacob noticed that Laban's attitude towards him was not what it had been. Then the Lord said to Jacob, go back to the land of your fathers and to your relatives, and I will be with you. So Jacob sent word to Rachel and Leah to come out to the fields where his flocks were. He said to them, I see that your father's attitude towards me is not what it was before, but the God of my father has been with me. You know that I've worked for your father with all my strength, yet your father has cheated me by changing my wages 10 times. However, God has not allowed family reunion way back here. However, God has not allowed him to harm me. If he said the speckled ones will be your wages, then all the flocks gave birth to speckled young. And if he said the streaked ones will be your wages, then all the flocks bore streaked young. So God has taken away your father's livestock and has given it to me, them to me. In breeding season, I once had a dream in which I looked up and saw that the male goats mating with the flock were streaked, speckled, or spotted. The angel of God said to me in the dream, Jacob. I answered, here I am. And he said, look up and see that all the male goats mating with the flock are streaked, speckled, or spotted. For I have seen all that Laban has been doing to you. I am the Lord of Bethel, where you anointed a pillar and where you made a vow to me. Now leave this land at once and go back to your native land. So stop stare the dream, but him explaining it at least. That's why Jacob probably said in the dream to do what he did with the white streaked plant or whatever by the river, so they made it. In a way, God was showing him something or doing it for him. Or anyhow, or knowing how the animals react to things, God, and told him to do that. Verse 14. I wonder if that would work today. I'd have to go back and read how he set up that plan and striped it, and it promoted certain ones to mate certain ways anyhow. Or maybe it was just God's hand at that time through via the dream, as it told him, Jacob, to do the dream through by God. Anyways, 14. Then Rachel and Leah replied, do we still have any share in the inheritance of our father's estate? ? Does he not regard us as foreigners? ? Not only has he sold us, but he has used up what was paid for us. Surely all the wealth that God took away from our father belongs to us and our children. So do whatever God has told you. See, the children always comes first. That's when you love the most in this world. It's a fact. If you don't have children, you'll never know that. 17, a normal person. Anyways, 17, that Jacob put his children and his wives on camels, and he drove all his livestock ahead of him, along with all the goods he had accumulated in Padan Aram, to go to his father Isaac in the land of Canaan. When Laban had gone to shear his sheep, Rachel stole her father's household's gods. Verse 20, moreover, Jacob, she wasn't obviously into Abraham's God. Verse 20, moreover, Jacob deceived Laban, the Aramean, by not telling him he was running away. Seems like Jacob, remember, he deceived a few times. Jacob means supplanter or deceiver. Interesting, anyhow. 21, so Jacob fled with all he had, and crossing the river, he headed for the hill country of Gilead. But it says later why, because he's afraid, because Laban kept wronging Jacob, so Jacob wanted to leave and not want to do with him, because he'd make him stay or even hold him hostage, who knows. 22, on the third day, Laban was told that Jacob had fled. Turn the page here. Taking his relatives with him, he pursued Jacob for 7 days. Laban pursued Jacob and caught up with him in the hill country of Gilead. Then God said to Laban the Aramite in a dream at night, and said to him, be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad. In other words, don't mess with him. 25. Jacob had pitched his tent in the hill country of Gilead when Laban overtook him, and Laban and his servants camped there too. Well, Jacob had amassed a lot, right? So it was slower going, right? All the herds. Then Laban said to Jacob, "What have you done? You've deceived me, and you've carried off my daughters like captives in war. Why did you run off secretly and deceive me? Why didn't you tell me so I could send you away with joy and singing to the music of tambourines and harps? You didn't even let me kiss my grandchildren and my daughters goodbye." Hey, well, this guy, you have done a foolish thing. Well, what about you, Laban? I'm just saying this. You made him work. You gave him one wife. You fooled him 14 years, and you kept fooling him. God blessed him by the stripes and get all the herd back for all his work that he wasn't paying him. Anyhow, through the dream, tell him to do that, God, to Jacob. 29, I have the power, Laban said, to harm you. But last night the God of your father said to me, be careful not to say anything to Jacob, either good or bad. Now you have gone off because you long to return to your father's house. But why did you steal my gods? ? Jacob answered, Laban, I was afraid because I thought you would take your daughters away from me by force. See, I said earlier, he was afraid. And 32, but if, because he always wronged him, Laban to Jacob. 32, but if you find anyone who has your gods, he shall not live in the presence of our relatives. See for yourself whether there is anything of yours here with me. And if so, take it. Now Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen the gods, checking the time. So Laban went into Jacob's tent and into Leah's tent and into the tent of the two maidservants, but he found nothing. After he came out of Leah's tent, he entered Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the household gods and put them inside the camel's saddle and was sitting on them. Laban searched through everything in the tent, but found nothing. Rachel said to her father, don't be angry, my lord, that I cannot stand up in your presence. I'm having my period. So he searched but could not find the household gods. Jacob was angry and took Laban to task. What is my crime? He asked Laban. What sin have I committed that you hunt me down? Now that you have searched through all my goods, what have you found that belongs to your household? Put it here in front of your relatives and mine and let them judge between the two of us. Rachel must have been sweating bullets here. Anyhow, 38, I have been with you for 20 years now. Your sheep and goats have not miscarried, nor have I eaten rams from your flocks. I did not bring you animals torn by wild beasts. I bore the loss myself, and you demanded payment from me for whatever was stolen by day or night. Verse 40, this was my situation. The heat consumed me in the daytime and the cold at night, and sleep fled from my eyes. It was like this for the 20 years I was in your household. I worked for you 14 years for 2 daughters and 6 years for your flocks, and you changed my wages 10 times. It was very, boy, oh boy. Got to make sure he got paid for all that, though. 42, if the God of my father, the God, in other words, it's basically a lifetime of work here, 14, 20 years, half of his lifetime of work. He wasn't going to lose it to his father. That was part of his family growing up, his work, you know what I mean, like anyone else. 42, if the God of my father, the God of Abraham, and the fear of Isaac, interesting enough, they call it the fear of Isaac, which was like have the fear of God, which is the same God, the fear of God, or the God of Isaac too, but here it calls it the fear of Isaac, had not been with me, you would surely have sent me away empty-handed, but God, because he's always wronged him all his life, but God has seen my hardship and the toil of my hands, and last night he rebuked you. 43, Laban answered Jacob, the women are my daughters, and the children are my children, and the flocks are my flocks. All you see is mine, yet still thinks it's his. What he just said. Yet what I can do today about these daughters of mine? Yet what can I do today about these daughters of mine, or about the children they have borne? Come now, let's make a covenant, you and I, and let it serve as a witness between us. Seems like everyone in life will go through family members ripping you off. At least one. Probably at least 2. Maybe even 3 or 4. Some. 45, so Jacob took a stone and set it up as a pillar, including friends. He said to his relatives, gather some stones. So they took stones and piled them in a heap, and they ate there by the heap. Laban called it Jigar Shahadutha, and Jacob called it Galid. Laban said, "This heap is a witness between you and me today. This is why it was called Galid." It means witness. I think it was also called Mizpah because he said, "May the Lord keep watch over you and me when we are away from each other." Mizpah means watchtower, and the witness heap is the other, as I said. And it said, the first one, 50, "If you mistreat my daughters, or if you take any wives besides my daughters, even though no one is with us," meaning I don't see anyone around right now, "remember that God is a witness between you and me." In other words, he's saying, stay loyal to my daughters. Verse 51. Laban also said to Jacob, "Here is the heap, the rocks that just made for a sign, and here is this pillar I have set up between you and me. This heap is a witness," again the witness thing, "and the pillar is a witness that I will not go past this heap to you, to your side, to harm you, and vice versa, that you will not go past this heap and pillar to my side to harm me. May the God of Abraham and the God of Nathan, the God of their father, judge between us." So Jacob took an oath in the name of the fear of his father Isaac. He offered a sacrifice there in the hill country and invited his relatives to a meal. After they had eaten, they spent the night there. Early the next morning, Laban kissed his grandchildren and his daughters and blessed them. Then he left and returned home. That's the end of 31. Okay, thank you. Bye.